What is going on? I am the bringer of rain, and we are live. This is my pre-Raw show. I am going to Monday Night Raw tonight. I am going to try and have a good time. It's going to be my first time ever seeing Brock Lesnar live and in person. Actually, it's going to be the first time that I see a bunch of these guys live and in person. I've never seen anyone from The Shield perform live. I haven't seen the Wyatt family live, none of that stuff. So I'm gonna have a good time tonight. I'm gonna provide a little bit of behind the scenes type footage. I'm gonna sneak my camera in, which has very high quality, and if that fails, I always have my cell phone anyway. So I have along with me the Iceman, Jeffrey Rose. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
And I also have with me here the one and only Dark Horse. How are you today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Awesome. I feel great. I didn't watch the TNA show last night, so I woke up feeling good. I had to do it.
I watched it. I did enjoy it, like I told you off air. I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good.
Right. Is there okay, well, you watched it, Dark Horse, you watched the show as well, didn't you?
No, I really didn't actually. I just heard about it, but from what I heard, it didn't sound too good.
Okay.
Well, that's the issue. People that don't watch it, okay? If you hear from word of mouth, I mean, Aaron Rift even said it was a good show. He enjoyed it, and that's pretty good coming from Aaron Rift.
Okay. Now my question, this is what I want to talk about. This is the main thing that happened on this show, was in the main event. Matt Hardy wins the title. Now, I've watched Matt Hardy perform throughout the years. Was never terribly impressed with him. I never saw him as, the better of the two brothers. He had his moments, he had his matches and what have you, but can we be honest here, guys, and tell the truth? I mean, I've seen, there's no friggin' way that was a good match. Let's be honest. Was it? I mean, Jeff, you watched the show. Was it really a good match?
The triple threat match was good. The thing of it was, I look at it this way: they were in North Carolina. The Hardys are from North Carolina, and it's like any other promotion in a major event. They're they're going to cater to these guys, and that's what TNA did. And the other thing too is, I want to put out there, everybody always complains that we always push the same people. So TNA last night did something with two different guys that you never would have expected, and people are still complaining. I mean, at least they did something different other than the obvious.
So now I'm talking work inside the ring. Were the moves incredible? Was there any spots in that match that had you just thinking to yourself, Jesus Christ, that was fantastic?
Oh no, I think the tag match with the Wolves and Trevor Lee and Myers was like the match of the night. It was excellent. I mean, the triple threat match was good. I mean, I wouldn't call it great.
Mm-hmm. So work rate wise, what would you rate it from 1 to 10? In ring work.
I may give it like a 5.5.
So it was a mediocre mediocre wrestling match, but what? So you're saying it was a good match, storyline wise, I guess.
Yeah, the storyline was good because the thing of it was, if you watched the earlier the Gold for the Gauntlet, when Tyrus won, and he told Ethan Carter that he's going to go for the TNA World title, which sort of like added a little intrigue to the whole thing, because a lot of people thought maybe because Jeff Hardy was refereeing the main event that he might turn heel and screw over Matt Hardy, and maybe EC3 would have retained. And that would have been an interesting scenario between Tyrus and EC3, but it wasn't to be. But I mean, we didn't know until the end. So
we can hear you, Scott.
Hi.
What's up, Scott?
Dark Horse, how do you feel about the the main event and them putting the strap on Matt Hardy. We've just heard from someone who actually watched the show that the in-ring work was a 5 out of 10, which is pretty shitty if that's your main event. But he says storyline-wise, he's standing by it. How do you feel?
I mean, if I hear a car crash, I don't need to see it to know it's a fucking wreck. You know, I mean, I can hear the pay-per-view, and I can listen to it, and I can tell whether or not it's good or bad. I just can. Now, as far as putting the belt on Matt Hardy, I don't think that's world champion material, you know? Right. I mean, for a joke company like TNA, okay, I guess that's fine, but if you ever want to be taken seriously, you know, they were teasing, like you said, Jeff, they were teasing Tyrus and EC3. Why not follow through with that? Instead of putting it on a past his prime, washed up Matt Hardy, who's not going to draw shit for this company. He's not going to bring in new viewers. And now they don't even have any fucking shows. You know, I mean, it's like, you don't even have any TV shows. It's going to be all replays. Mm-hmm. So why put clips on Get It?
Go ahead, man. You blacked out for a second, so I was just going to jump in. Continue. You there? I think we lost him.
Who are you talking to?
Dark Horse.
Yeah, I don't hear him either.
His thing went in and out, and I couldn't understand it. It's heard robot voice talk.
Yeah, it was one of those like.
I was just saying I don't understand why they put the belt on Matt Hardy.
If you had your choice, who would you put the strap on? Now, I know what you just made a really good point. Why even have a title change hands if they're not even going to have new shows on television?
Yeah, that's they're like I said earlier, they were in North Carolina, Hardy country. Let the fans go home happy. It's the only thing I could say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get in that respect. I guess is it kind of like? Do you think this is kind of like TNA's way of just saying, "Hey, man, look, this is our last fucking hurrah. Here you go. Let's at least please this hometown crowd and just throw the fucking belt on this guy."
I mean, why not? We don't even know if they're ever going to have a pay-per-view again. We don't even know what's going to happen in 2016. Mm-hmm. So, and that's one of the reasons why I watched it too, because I wanted to be a part of the show in case it was the very last. At least I could say that I watched it.
Scott, Leon, do you guys have any input here? How do you guys feel about Matt Hardy becoming the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and then they're not even going to have any television shows after?
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, they should have given it to somebody more deserving than Matt Hardy.
Leon, I'm sure.
Still, what difference would it have made?
I didn't really watch TNA, to be perfectly honest.
They're not going to have other shows.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Leon. What were you going to say?
I didn't really watch TNA, but to put the title on Matt Hardy is fucking absurd. To think they ever would have put it on Drew Galloway or whoever else was in the match. I mean, Drew Galloway was IC champion for a while in WWE until they fucked that up.
Right.
So I figured, why not put it on Galloway, at least for a while, if they're even going to be around by then. Mm-hmm. And this TV deal bullshit is also absurd. Like, they jumped from Skype to Destination America. What the hell are they going to jump to now? WPIX? Like, what the fuck?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think anyone does. I just watched Vince Russo's kind of a spoof video on the big announcement, quote unquote, and brilliant. And I have to agree with everything. And Jeff, you even said it yourself. Her track record with making quote unquote huge announcements is really fucking poor. You can't even really look forward to them. They're meaningless and stupid announcements that mean nothing. All right.
Yeah, maybe to Dixie it's something huge, but to a fan in wrestling it's nothing. I mean,
And this is the problem with somebody who does not know wrestling running a wrestling company. I do not understand how anyone on this planet can sit back and defend a product that's being killed by the people that are running it once again, a la WCW. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. But the problem is this. The star power is just not there for TNA. They have nothing. At least WCW in the end had Ric Flair and Sting, Scott Steiner, Booker T. These guys can go, and they were well-known guys. TNA now, they have absolutely nothing. And to hear that the main event was a 5 out of 10 work rate-wise is really fucking... It says a lot about the company. I've heard great things about the Wolves. I've heard about them a ton. They put on great matches in the ring. I was actually listening to one, I believe it was either WJ's show or Dark Horse's show, where Buck was on there and he was talking, and I guess they were talking about the X Division match, where these 2 guys or 3 guys or however many guys are in that, 2 names I've never heard of in my life. They're flipping all over the goddamn place, putting their bodies in danger, trying to fucking steal the show. But guaranteed they're not getting paid anywhere near worth the risk. And I believe in that. I mean, if you're going to take risks like that, you better damn well be getting paid for it. Or at least if you do get hurt, have, you know, the assurance that your company's going to be able to pay your fucking hospital bill, whether if you break your neck or you tear your ACL, you blow your quadricep, concussions, this, that, and the other thing. And I guarantee you, TNA does not have that money. There's a reason why. I mean, wasn't it Taz that came out and said that they owed him all kinds of money and his checks were bouncing? Have we heard this story before?
Oh, yeah, we've heard it many a times, but... You know, like what Aaron Riff said, though, with all these matches last night, everybody, regardless of who they are and what matches they were in, and like you just said, they were putting their bodies on the line, everybody gave 200% to try to put on a good show. Now, what I want to say about all this is, let's not fault the performers, let's fault the promotion. Because the performers were great last night.
Mm-hmm. Who? All right, I'll go round table with this one. If Dark Horse has his mic fixed or what, it wasn't too bad. There was just a couple times where it completely went out. What was the match of the evening? What was the match of the evening? What stole the show? I'll start. Scott, did you watch the show?
No, but I heard it get mediocre reviews.
Okay, so you didn't see the show, so I can't really ask you this question then. Leon, did you watch the show?
I don't really watch TNA anymore, to be quite honest.
Okay, so you didn't. So I have to ask you, Jeff, what was the match of the evening?
Tag team title match. The Wolves, Myers, and Trevor Lee. If you wanted to see a great tag team match, it reminded me of the old days, like with the Hardys and Edge and Christian and the Dudleys back in the old WWF, WWE days. These guys were just like, they were phenomenal. It was action throughout, a lot of near pinfalls. I mean, it was nonstop. It was absolutely the best match of the night.
Were there tables involved? Any hardcore stuff? Or
no, they just were just high flying and everything else like they always do.
Okay.
But it was nonstop action. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Dark Horse, have you fixed your mic issues, or you want to give it another shot?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
I mean, I didn't watch the show either, like I say, but so I really can't comment on what the match of the night was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me,
I'll ask you.
I don't know.
Question, then. Here's another question. When looking at the card before the show, like you said, you see a car wreck, it doesn't mean you have to watch it or stand by it or whatever. When you're looking at the match card, what match, upon looking at it, do you think is going to steal the show, or which match like pretty much has the most intrigue attached to it, if any at all?
Gauntlet match. Wasn't that what the gauntlet match was? The one with Anderson, Tyrus, all those guys. But I've always been a huge gauntlet match fan, so
Okay.
that would be what would have my interest the most.
Okay. All right. And how was that match, Jeff? Did it live up to expectations, or?
It caught me off guard. There was a lot of surprises. Al Snow showed up. He was involved in it. I didn't expect that. Tommy Dreamer showed up wearing polka-dotted tights to represent Dusty Rhodes. The Pope left the announce table with Josh Matthews, and he was going to go in the ring, and then he decided better, and he hopped over the rope and eliminated himself. It was okay. It lasted a bit. I mean, it was entertaining. It was better than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, when you read the match card, like you were talking about, my expectations were probably Kurt Angle and Eric Young, even though I've seen it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And the title match, and of course I knew the Wolves was going to be really, really good, but I didn't expect that match to actually steal the show. But again, the Gauntlet match, it was very, very entertaining. Al Snow is always fun to watch in my eyes. I mean,
my God. I'm listening to the names being mentioned off here, and TNA's always had this reputation, deservingly so. It's like a retirement home for WWE stars.
That's basically what it's been for, let's be honest, for quite a long time. Ever since Christian came in, and then Sting came in, Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then, even earlier on, we've seen Kevin Nash, we've seen Scott Hall.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like that really throughout the whole promotion, really, when it comes down to it.
I think that, but I don't think that at the time Christian signed, they had Ron Killings there as well, who is the Truth. We all know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But when they signed Christian, I thought, man, that's actually a big move, because Christian was still in his prime. He wasn't past his prime, and he was a legitimate star from WWE. It wasn't, and same thing with Kurt Angle.
Too.
Yep, same thing with Kurt Angle. I thought that was a huge sign. But like these other guys, I'm thinking about. You hearing the name Al Snow, Tommy Dreamer. Like, who really gives a fuck about these guys anymore? And how can the company expect real wrestling fans to get excited about here? Oh my God, it's Tommy Dreamer. Okay.
Yeah, you know what sort of happened when all these guys started popping into TNA, and TNA had all these other lot of young stars there. This is when they had a lot of good young stars in the middle 2000s, and a lot of these guys decided to leave because they knew they weren't going to get the opportunity to get anywhere. Look at Monty Brown. Monty Brown, man, Monty Brown should have been like a superstar in TNA.
I agree.
And then when you bring in all these ex-WWE guys, it just took the place of a lot of these younger stars in TNA, and a lot of them took off. And we never really saw them again, really, when it comes down to it. But they were very, very good.
They were this. I'm trying to. I guess what I'm gonna do is this. Because I'm in a raw state of mind. I've never been to a 3-hour Raw show. I don't think the last Raw that I went to was when it must have been a 3-hour show. Was when The Rock did his State of the Union address in Boston and was calling out Cena, and they had their little confrontation in the ring. It was fucking awesome. I guess that was a 3-hour show. It had to have been. I haven't been to one since, so I don't know what to expect, but I'm getting hyped for this. But what I will do is tomorrow I'm going to go back, I'm going to find this TNA pay-per-view, and I'm going to give it a chance. And the only reason I'm doing it is for you, Iceman. Nobody else. All this.
I mean, if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. I just
Right.
it's sort of funny because when I was watching it, I didn't even look at the clock, and before I knew it was over. And a lot of times with a lot of, like WWE pay-per-views, and I enjoy a lot of them too as well. But a lot of times I'm looking at the clock and saying, "Oh man, I hope this ends soon." I mean, and that definitely goes for Monday Night Raw. I think we all can say that. I mean, because Raw just seems to drag no matter what.
I just don't see how, with the stars that they have and the names that are mentioned, that as bad as the WWE product is right now, I cannot even fathom. Like, I'm so afraid to even try and watch this thing. It's not even funny.
Well, you have to be a little familiar with them.
I know most of the roster. I know Bobby Roode was on the card.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley was on the card. Angle. What the fuck is that? The guy. What's his name? That he wrestled. That Kurt Angle wrestled. What the fuck's his name? Eric Young.
Eric Young.
Yeah. All right. Talk about the most overrated wrestler in the wrestling business is Eric Young. I'm sorry. I have to say it. There's nothing spectacular about him whatsoever.
No, I can go along with that.
The most overrated wrestler I've ever seen.
A Daniel Bryan wannabe.
I wouldn't even call him that, but I guess that's what he got booked as. I'm gonna watch this show, and I gotta be honest with you, I have a really good feeling that I'm gonna just bash the ever-loving shit out of it. I'm sorry, I just have that. I feel it in my fucking soul.
Oh, that's your.
I swear to God, I swear to God, I don't do it. I'm not doing it to piss anybody off, but I can just like Dark Horse was saying, I kind of feel that same thing. I feel it, like I just feel it that this show is not going to be as good as people are making it out to be.
Well, the bottom line is, if you watch it and you don't like it, then you have a right to say you don't like it. Mm-hmm. But if you didn't watch it and say it sucked, you have no right to say it.
That's fair enough. If you got, I don't know how true a fact this is. I heard this over the weekend that TNA had a live show on Friday night, and they literally drew a little over 200 people at this live show.
That's probably true.
That is pathetic.
Yeah, that's what's been going on with their live shows that they've had recently. Yeah.
Even ECW at the end of their run was still drawing bigger audiences than that. Audiences in the thousands.
No, that is the truth.
That is, and I believe Polson was trying to come at me one time and comparing the situation TNA is in to what ECW is in, and there is no comparison between those two companies. One is still a legend, and the other one's going to be a distant memory soon. I'm sorry to say it, but it is.
Well, the bottom line is, once AJ Styles left the company, it opened the doors for other stars to leave, and we've all seen them flock one by one and take off. And, once that happened, we saw the decline of TNA for sure.
All right, I'll go round table this one. Dark Horse, would you ever compare TNA to ECW?
That ECW had issues paying their talent, and so does TNA, but I think it ends there. ECW transcended the business. It played its role in the Attitude Era, as far as like people could say Vince copied ECW. Well, at least if you're going to copy something, make it better. And to me, that's what at least he did make it more successful. Where you got TNA copying WWE and failing every fucking time. What good does it do to copy somebody when you're 10 times worse than what they did, and you're not really getting attention for it? Like for a great example would be Daniel Bryan winning the title, and then Eric Young immediately winning the TNA title, and nobody gave a fuck. People started tuning out, actually. People stopped watching TNA. They thought, hey, a small bearded man won the WWE title. Let's have a small beer man win our title, and it didn't work for him. So, back to your question, though, ECW transcended professional wrestling. TNA hasn't transcended shit. They just haven't. They never will. They'll never be on that level of ECW. The fan base, the fans, like you said, they were still selling out or selling way more tickets than TNA is. So, no, they'll never be like ECW.
Iceman?
Well, I would say at this present time, I can't see them really being much of really anything. I mean, I don't know. I always focus back when in better times for some reason. Then I'd have a better argument. Right now, I don't have an argument.
Here's a question. Now ponder this one. In 5 years from now, when TNA's gone, all right, when they're because it's gonna happen. When they're gone, will we still be hearing people in crowds chanting TNA, TNA at WWE shows?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
No.
That's the difference. Polston, that's the difference between ECW and TNA. Because even to this day, anything that you see that is anywhere near hardcore, someone going through a table, a chair shot, anything like that. When Ambrose got his head put through the cinder block, you hear ECW chants anytime something like that happens. To this day, in 2015, that's called becoming legendary. That company is legendary and still has a cult following to this day. You cannot compare the two. I'll say this again. The TNA Revolution, and anyone who's on that bandwagon, I'm convinced you're just trolling because there is nothing that you could provide that makes any type of fucking sense whatsoever to make this revolution relevant. I'm still waiting on it. Like something valid, something that makes sense. I'm yet to hear it.
No, I think TNA's days are honestly, and I know they're coming to an end. I really do. I honestly do know that. Deep down, I know that anyway. But then in general, I think wrestling is just like declining on such a huge slope that I don't think it'll ever be the same that it ever was even 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Scott, would you ever compare ECW and TNA like in the same breath?
Absolutely not, because ECW was way better than TNA. Now that TNA does is just copy off of WWE and other stuff. I mean, TNA's pretty much dead, and fans will never be chanting TNA at WWE events because they don't care about the company anymore, and I don't either.
No. Leon, how do you feel? I know you're gonna drop an F-bomb, so go ahead and do it.
TNA will never be like ECW, even on its best day. Even Sabu, who was an ECW original, some of the ECW originals were in TNA back in the early 2000s or some shit like that. As far as the entertainment they bring, they will never be like ECW. Not in a million fucking years.
There it is. I knew one would sneak in there. Terrence, welcome to the show.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just came back from school.
Okay.
So TNA and ECW, my thoughts, would I ever compare it? Well, obviously not, because here's the difference. It's not because, it's many things, but the one particular reason why you should never really compare TNA to ECW is because ECW was a revolutionary. They did things at their time where things was different. The extreme matches, the explicit stuff that was going on in the company. just they had a reckless vibe to them. It was way different than a traditional WWF or WCW kind of thing. TNA, on the other hand, it was starting to be, unique, and that's what was the ECW was. ECW was unique in their own way with the extreme stuff and whatnot, because that was their theme. TNA, before, it had like the six-sided ring and the impact zone, different kind of matches.
They had chicks dancing in fucking cages. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the fucking tits and ass? Where is it? You're false advertising, TNA. TNA, you got a guy. That's a guy's. You want to fucking see some tits and ass? When I'm flipping through the channels, if this is the first time I'm watching Destination America, I see a fucking thing called TNA Impact. Automatically, I'm thinking, shit, this is some softcore porn.
Pornhub.
I turn it on and I see Bobby Roode and Bobby Lashley having a shitty match. And I'm wondering to myself, where are the fucking chicks in the cages dancing with their tits and their ass shaking? Where is it? Nowhere. They have good-looking chicks there. They do. I'll give them that. Not all of them are good-looking, but they got them there, and they don't do anything sexual. No fucking TNA. False advertisement. Again, sorry, had to get that one out there.
And that's all right, but again, it's just I would never compare it. Back to what I was saying, there's no comparison. One is more of a revolutionary, and the other one was not. It could have been something different, like years ago with the six-sided ring. Obviously, you just mentioned the tits and ass, the girls in the cages, different kind of matches that you never seen before. It could have been great. It could have been something different. It could have been a huge alternative, and that was the biggest issue with TNA. It was getting there until shit happened, and then we all know what happened with the whole Hogan thing. They turned it to the four-sided ring. Everything became from red to blue. Everything looked like WWE after that, to the point where nothing really makes them an alternative to the WWE. I look at Lucha Underground, and I think of them as what TNA should have been, and that is an alternative to WWE. You know what I mean? Because Lucha Underground, you have different characters, you have different kind of matches. There's a different feel to it. It has this cinematic grittiness kind of thing, where you have like it's taking place. It's like a TV show in a way, or a movie. But there's a lot of wrestling involved, and Lucha Libre is a big part of the show, and they have these cool characters and whatnot. It's just awesome. For those who haven't really watched Lucha Underground, who have heard of it but never watched it, I suggest you check that out. But back to what I was saying, Lucha Underground, it should have been what TNA should have been, in that they should have been an alternative. And once it becomes an alternative, it could have been something different. And that's what should have been revolutionary. And if they could have done that, then yeah, you could probably make the comparison and them being revolutionary. But no, they didn't. ECW was a revolutionary because they did things that nobody else wouldn't do. They took chances. They done cool, the extreme matches and barbed wire matches and just everything that was so different back then. And it really revolutionized what WWE is now. They do a lot of extreme rules, for example. One night stand. Like the Extreme Rules matches they do. Like so much hardcore shit that happened in the Attitude Era. You can probably say, and I'm not gonna, if I'm wrong, I apologize, but some of the stuff the craziness you see in the Attitude Era with the TLC matches and the brutal matches with the weapons and all that kind of stuff. Those things kind of, when Dudley's come in and all those other people, it kind of seen what you have seen in ECW. Right. And what made them revolutionaries because they're not an alternative, but two, they have changed the landscape of professional wrestling, period. And TNA could have been something like that.
And they had tits and ass.
But they didn't. Instead, we've seen Dick and Balls having a shitty match. That's, you know what I mean? Instead of calling TNA, they should have called it DNB. Dick and Balls or Dixie and
Bischoff.
oh, there you go. But
Yeah.
overall, that's just my point on all this. So
All right, so here's my next. Who do we blame now? Who do we blame for the demise of TNA Wrestling? Dark Horse, I'll start with you. If you're still alive.
do 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 do.
Back to Dark Horse. Jeffrey, who do you
Yeah,
blame?
I honestly think once Bischoff and Hogan came in, I knew it was going to be something not good. Like Terrence said, you changed the 6-sided ring to a 4-sided ring. We started seeing less of the Ultimate X matches, the X Division matches, which the X Division matches and the Ultimate X matches were like a trademark of TNA. And, with the money that Hogan and Bischoff were taking in, and they just, they changed the landscape of everything in my eyes. Ever since then, I really think they went downhill since 2010.
Dark Horse, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so you said you blame Dixie Carter, reason being?
Yeah.
You blacked out.
Andy Bischoff behind the run was Dix. I don't know Carter who paid him for money. If you think that a major announcement is, hey, we're gonna have a media tour, then you guys don't know how to promote your shit. 8 stars realistically, she really doesn't. Name me any star they've created on the level of a John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, Brock Lesnar. They've never created one. Samoa Joe going to NXT, he's going to become a bigger star immediately than he was in TNA. That's just the WWE platform for you. So yeah, beyond a shadow, her stupid decisions, the fact she admits she doesn't really know what she's doing, which is why Hogan and Bischoff came in the first place, because she doesn't have a fucking clue. So I really think it's Dixie Carter that's to blame.
Leon?
Yeah.
Who do you blame for the demise of TNA?
I'm going to go to what Jeffrey Rose said earlier, that Hogan and Bischoff thing.
All right. Scott?
I blame Dixie Carter, Eric Bischoff, and Hulk Hogan. Dixie Carter shouldn't even be running the company because she knows nothing about wrestling. She acts like she does, and she doesn't. And her big announcements are nothing but a waste of time. I think she just does it just to get people's attention and watch what she has to say.
Okay. Terrence?
Who is? You said the question was who or which people were.
Who do you blame? Who do you blame for the demise of TNA?
Who do I blame? Well, all the above of everyone who have just mentioned on this conversation right now. You can say Hogan, maybe a part of that. You can say Bischoff as well. The writers who've been a part of the problem who've been a part of it when Hogan and Bischoff was doing taking charge of the promotion. You can say Dixie as well. There's just many people. It's not just one person. It's like a whole group of people.
Right.
And, so you can say, but if I were to say who made it worse, like the most, I don't know. I have to go back and do a bit more research on it, but I think what really started TNA to be on a decline was just the amount of ex-WWE guys and them, just making a name for themselves once again over the newer guys who they had at the time, the AJ Styles, basically their homegrown talent, and they could have, again, they could have built stars to be the next Cena, Orton, Batista, Edge, Ray, Jericho, you name it, just they could have done something along those lines, but You know, you had, the main event Mafia stuff I kind of liked, but I think once Hogan came in, when they tried to do that Monday Night War shit, and I think in the first,
I gotta cut you off because you're getting off on a rant.
oh, my bad.
I only have 15. I actually have less than 15 minutes left because my transportation is about to arrive.
Okay.
But yeah, so you pretty much answered the question anyway. You think it's all of the above, which is fair enough. But when you're looking at it, from my perspective, I'm with Dark Horse on this one. You gotta blame the head cheese. You gotta blame Dixie Carter because she was dumb enough to hire the two company killers, Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, the two people that I, to this day, still hold to blame the most for killing WCW. Those two motherfuckers. Why in the fuck would you think that it's a good idea to bring those two assholes into your company when you're already on you're on the upswing? You just said the homegrown talent that was there. You didn't need those guys. You didn't need Scott Hall. You didn't need Kevin Nash. You didn't need Sean Waltman. You didn't need any of those motherfuckers. Yes, it was great to sign Rob Van Dam, and yes, it was great to sign Jeff Hardy, but you could have done that shit without Eric Bischoff and Hulk fucking Hogan. At the end of the day, it's Dixie Carter's fault, and at the end of the day, it's because you have somebody like Ted Turner who is maybe a fan of professional wrestling, but does not know how to run the wrestling business at all. And you're bringing those two company killers. I heard the story. I think I heard it from Vince Russo during a shoot interview where those two motherfuckers came in. They had storylines written out for the next 6 weeks upon their arrival. Those two assholes came in, sat everybody down, and said, everything that you've planned for such and such amount of time, throw that shit out the window. We're doing things our way from now on. Right then and there is when you know your company is fucked. They did a complete overhaul of the storylines, of the usage of the performers on the show. That's what they did. They buried the fucking young homegrown talent. They created that group called Fortune with Ric Flair. Didn't fucking work. They buried those guys, put over the fucking former WWE stars and the former WCW stars, talking about like the Scott Steiners of the world. And that was the end. That was the beginning of the end. And this is the end of this show. Because I have to really start getting ready to leave this motherfucker. I will be filming footage of Monday Night Raw from where I am sitting. I have some pretty decent seats. It's going to be great. I want to thank everybody for joining this little mini show real quick. I want to thank the Dark Horse, Iceman, Scott, Leon, Terrence, thank you for coming in. You guys want to plug your channels real quick before I shut this down?
All right. Follow me on Twitter. But for my channel, just alone, it is Wrestling Express. Check it out. I do have some videos there. It's all about fantasy booking. I do pay-per-view reviews, fantasy booking. I'm doing a Q&A later this week, so if you want to send me some questions through Facebook, you can free to do so, and many other shit. So, yeah.
All right. Scott, the man that needs no introduction, you want to plug your fucking show real quick?
Yep. Shout out to my channel, Willfield, #1 in WWE Revolution. BB717, you can follow him and try to play the 98. No, you can't be Canadian luchador. What?
Love it.
Canadian luchador. What?
That fucking guy. Oh, boy.
Joe. And shout out to all you guys.
Yeah. Iceman.
Iceman's Return, Iceman V2013 on YouTube, Iceman Wrestling Extreme on Facebook, and the Jeffrey Rose Facebook page. And Will, I want to say have a great time tonight, man.
I'm gonna. Dark Horse, the man, another man who needs no introduction.
You can check me out, Dark Horse TV Elite on YouTube, Dark Horse _Elite on Twitter, and DH Danielson on Facebook.
I am the Bringer of Rain 13. You can find me on YouTube.com with that name. You can find me on Facebook I am called William Bringer on Facebook. Please, if you want to hop on and see what all the huff is about, jump on there. I will be on Raw tonight. I will be challenging Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns to a triple threat Hell in a Cell match, and I'm going to attempt to punch Roman Reigns in the face when he's walking down through the crowd. I think that's where I'm going to be seated. And if I'm successful, I will be running really, really fast. No, look for the guy with the skull mask on, and that will be me.
Okay.
So, you guys have a wonderful evening. I know I'm going to. And peace out.
Peace out.
See you later.